Hello everyone. We continue with module 2, which is talking about the Indian philosophical traditions and the epistemology. In the previous lesson 2.1, we had talked about the 6 schools and how they were important and how they formed their basis, how they were so authentic because all the rishis and the sages, they brought about knowledge and understanding with lots of inference and reference. Nothing there was baseless. Everything had a basic understanding. Everything had some experiential knowledge, and how everything remained interconnected with each other. Each school of learning, though individual, but did have its connection with the other school. And each school has its own importance with the comparative other school. We did also see that how a person, a Purusha, and how we fit into the universe, that is the Brahman, how as we fit into the environment that we have, and how we need to understand ourselves, respect ourselves, and then only we can form a united system. So that as a base was very important for us to go further into lesson 2.2, where we are going to be talking about logic and reasoning, that is pramana, the types of pramanas. Whenever we understand anything, we try to understand anything, we try to understand the logic behind it, the knowledge system that it carries, and it is only then that we are able to understand it and thereafter apply it. Because if we do not have any basic knowledge, if we do not have a logic system which explains to us why the existence of that particular thought is there, we cannot put into practice. So we'll now delve into logic and reasoning, and we will see what are the different pramana types, what are the different logical reasoning types that we have. Logical reasoning in the Indian knowledge system, IKS, is a highly developed and sophisticated field, primarily articulated with the Nyaya school of philosophy. While other schools also engage in reasoning, Nyaya is specifically dedicated to the science of logic and epistemology. The core of logical reasoning in IKS, particularly in Nyaya, revolves around the concept of anumana, inference, what we deduce out of a learning, how can we apply the learning, and its rigorous structure, formulation, how it was made, along with the methods for identifying fallacies. Fallacies are false facts which revolve around any theory. It's important to note that Indian logic is often framed within the context of philosophical debate and the pursuit of valid knowledge, that is, pramana. Now, the 6 pramanas that we have, the very first is anumana, that is inference. Then we have upmana, that is comparison. Then we have arthapati, that is postulation, making of a theory, formulating a theory. Then we have anuplabdhi, that is non-apprehension, means to be open, to be able to learn, to be transparent, to be able to learn. Then we have shabda, the verbal testimony. And the verbal testimony is very important because the knowledge system cannot grow without it being vocal or oral or verbal. Then we have pratyaksha or perception. Perception is how we think, how we perceive. Once we've seen a logic, once we understand the belief, once we've taken the knowledge about the entire system. So now let's take a look into the detailing of it. Here are the 6 classical pramanas along with their significance in logic and reasoning. Pratyaksha, that is perception. What is the meaning? I'm sure that is very basic of perception that we carry, but this is a little more elite version of the definition. Direct cognition or apprehension. When we learn, we do have apprehensions. It's the knowledge gained through the direct contact of sense organs. What are the sense organs? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the skin, with objects as well as through internal perception. Mental states, like pain, like pleasure, like desire. Now, both these things happen to work in sync. When our ears, eyes, nose, tongue, and skin match, they have to pan out with the mental state also, like the pain that we have, like the pleasure that we acquire, like the desire we want. What was the logic behind it all? Reasoning aspect of it all. Considered the most fundamental and immediate source of knowledge, it forms the empirical basis for much of Indian knowledge and logic. So, empirical is of old and the foundation. What is directly perceived provides the primary data for further reasoning. Just like how we build a building, and then we have, before that, we have a foundation. So, the logical reasoning aspect of any learning outcome is the pramana or the perception, what we think about it, how it is supposed to be. Well, about the types of pramana, the pratyaksha now. Lokika, that is the ordinary. Sensory perception of external objects, example, seeing a tree, hearing a sound, and internal perception, example, feeling hungry. So, Lokika is basically a sense organs at play. A Lokika, which is extraordinary, out of the blue, less common, includes intuitive or yogic perception, or recognizing a universal property in a particular instance. The next is Anumana or the inference. So, inference, let's see what the meaning holds for us. Knowledge acquired through reasoning and inference, it has to have a logic. It involves drawing a conclusion based on a premise that is already known to be true and a known, invariable relationship, vyapti, between the premise and the conclusion. So everything has a base, and the logic also will have a base, the logic for us to believe on. So the premise is the logic, and the inference is the conclusion that we get out of it. The logic and the reasoning aspect of Anumana. This is the cornerstone of Indian logic, particularly in the Nyaya school. It is a highly sophisticated system of deductive and inductive reasoning, whether it is from the inside, whether it is provided from the outside. The structure of Nyaya syllogism. A typical Anumana often follows a 5-part structure. So what is the 5-part structure? Let's see. Pratajna, or the proposition, how you propose it. The statement to be proved. Example, the hill has fire. Now, whenever we are doing any kind of research, we first postulate a theory. So here we are proposing the theory. Then there is hetu, which is reason. We need to have a reason for what we are about to find out. The reason for the proposition, example, because it has smoke. Now, why is the hill supposed to be on fire? Because you can see smoke on the hill. Udharana is the example. A universal concomitance, invariable relationship with an example. Example, wherever there is smoke, there is fire, as in a kitchen hearth. Now, a kitchen hearth is a chula that we have. So, if there is fire in the kitchen chula, you will have smoke in the kitchen chula as well. So, be it a fire anywhere, whether in a chula or on a hill or on a forest, anywhere. Then is Upanaya, or the application. Application of the universal concomitants to the current case, example, the hill has smoke, which is invariably associated with fire. Now, wherever there is fire, there will be smoke. Nigmana, or the conclusion. The derived conclusion. After the proposition, the reasoning, the example, and the application. The diverse conclusion, example, is therefore the hill has fire. Why? Because you could see smoke on the hill. So there has to be a fire. Now, what are the types? It's the swartha for oneself, means we are thinking majorly about ourselves. An inference drawn by oneself for one's own conviction, for us to formulate a belief system for ourselves. Prartha, that is for others, an inference presented to convince others, typically using the 5-part syllogism. So the 5-part syllogism was that there is a proposition, there is a reason, there is an example, there is application, and there is conclusion. So every step has its own importance in it. Then we have upmana, the comparison or the analogy. Now, meaning of the upmana. Knowledge derived from similarity or an analogy. It involves understanding an unknown object by comparing it to a known object that shares some resemblance. Now, when we have a comparison, we do have a benchmark. So here we do have a benchmark and then we make our comparison or an analogy. The next is logic and the reasoning aspect of it, the why of it. Useful for extending knowledge from familiar to unfamiliar domains. Familiar where we know, unfamiliar where we are about to explore. For instance, if you know what a wild cow, gavaya, looks like, and someone describes a nilgai as being like a wild cow, a nilgai is a blue bull. You gain knowledge of the nilgai through the comparison. How different it is, how different the appearance is, and that is how we are able to differentiate in between a guy and a nilgai. Let's look at an example. A city dweller is told that a guy, a wild cow, gavaya, is like a cow. We know that. When the latter encounters a gavaya in the forest, they recognize it as such based on the previous instruction and comparison to a familiar cow. So a benchmark has been set about how a cow is going to look to us. And whenever we see a cow, we identify it as a cow. How we teach little children. When we show a little child a dog, that child identifies a dog as a dog. And the next time it sees something of a kind, it will be a dog for that child. So is the example about a cow here. The next is Shabda, the verbal testimony, authoritative word. The meaning of it is knowledge gained from the verbal testimony of a reliable person, Aptavachana, or authoritative texts like the Vedas, where everything is being written and is justified also. It's the acceptance of statements made by trustworthy sources, reliable sources, researched sources. What is the logic behind it? Acknowledges the role of tradition, which we have been following, learning from the experts, the gurus, the rishis, the munis, which have formulated so many theories, and scriptural authority, the belief system that we carry. The trustworthiness of the source is paramount. Very important it is. This pramana is crucial for knowledge that cannot be obtained through direct perception or inference alone. Means only perception and inference are not a gameplay in it. There's more. Example, historical events, which mark it as calendar, ethical principles, which have been there, metaphysical truth, the science which circulates around it. What are the types of the Shabdas? Vedika Shabd, knowledge from the Vedas, considered infallible by orthodox schools. Why? Because they have a logic and a reasoning to it, a strong foundation. The Laukika Shabda, knowledge from trustworthy human beings, can be fallible if the source is not true or reliable. So the entire knowledge that we carry, the entire system that we carry, we need to have sufficient proof to formulate a logic and then to transfer the logic to somebody else. Then we have Arthapati, that is the postulation and the implication. Meaning of it, knowledge gained by assuming an unperceived fact to explain a perceived or known fact, like a comparison, that would otherwise be inexplicable. So if we need to have a comparison, if we need to formulate something, we need to have a benchmark for it. It's a form of logical presumption based on former knowledge system. What is the logical or the reasoning aspect of it? Involves deducing a necessary condition for an observed phenomena to be true. So we already have a benchmark and then we build on that. It's about filling in the gaps with the most reasonable explanation, reasonable and logical, something that will make some sense. Example, if Devdutt is alive and does not eat during the day, one must postulate that he eats at night to explain his being alive and well. We know that we need to be alive and we need to eat to be alive. So if a person is not eating during the daytime, possibly will be eating during the night, because the person has to be alive. And for that person to be living, needs to eat. So a logical reasoning, a postulation and an implication. Then we have the anuplabdhi, or the non-apprehension or the absence. Now the meaning is knowledge derived from the non-perception or absence of something. It is the immediate cognition of non-existence. So if we do not have a logical reasoning for something, means it never existed. So we need to have some reasoning, some belief that it existed for us to compare and to believe in its existence. Logical reasoning aspect. This pramana allows us to know about the absence of things. It's not merely the lack of perception, but the positive apprehension that something is not there. How about an example? You know there is no elephant in the room because you don't perceive one. And if there were one, you certainly would. Now, an elephant is not something small which would go unnoticeable in a room. An elephant is something very large to reckon with. So if you have an elephant in the room, you would obviously see it. This knowledge of absence is direct and valid. Now, these pramanas form the basis for rigorous intellectual inquiry and debate in ancient and medieval India. So if we do not have a base of knowledge, a rigorous inquiry in us, the urge to know more, the understanding to know more, we will not be able to debate about it. Demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of epistemology and the diverse ways in which humans acquire and validate knowledge. How we gain the knowledge, how we validate, how we find it good, logical, so that we are able to believe on it. Different schools emphasized different pramanas, leading to rich discussions on their validity, scope, and interrelationship. So here we did see that all of this is intertwined. All the schools, the pramanas that it had, all of it was stepped into various logical steps. All of it had reasoning. All of it had implication. When we perceive, then also we need to have logic. We need to have stable reason to believe on what we are about to learn. What we are about to learn cannot be shared until it is completely reasoned and completely strong in foundation. We can only share a belief system, only share knowledge when it is believed to be true. Thank you.